checking me out. This time we've got a Cammy Bishoujo Statue from Kotobukiya. Hooray! This was announced a while back, and a couple of years ago, I guess. They showed a artwork at a Comic-Con, and fast forward to now, here she is, and she looks like she's going to be one of my favorites. I like this one already. I haven't unboxed her yet, but from all the pics I've seen and what I'm looking at now, I really like Cammy. I've always liked Cammy since she came out in Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2. So anyway, this week there's been all kinds of information that popped up from Comic-Con. Suffice to say, unfortunately, I'm not at Comic-Con, but I am going to get some of the Comic-Con exclusives. I pre-ordered the Psylocke, the blue version, from Koto's website. Also got the metallic version of Spider-Woman. That one's been secured for me, thanks to a friend of mine who was awesome, and on its way. So they've showed all kinds of stuff. They announced Wasp. They showed off artwork for Wasp and She-Hulk on the Marvel side. Thank God for She-Hulk. I've been waiting forever for a She-Hulk announcement, and we have it now. Tekken. The Tekken line is apparently going to continue with Anna Williams. She looks pretty good, although her dress doesn't seem to be as intricate as it normally is, but still looks good. So no big deal for me. On the DC side, they have showed off artwork for Zatanna, and they showed a sculpt. It looks like a finished version of Batwoman. And then on the Street Fighter side, we've got the release of Cammy. We've got a sculpt of Juri. We've got artwork for Sakura and a silhouette of Poison. So they've been pretty busy, and going into July, it seemed like things were kind of slowing down a little bit. But here's why: it's because they weren't showing what they were working on until now, and they've been busy. So that's all good news. I'm very excited for all this stuff. Now, if you haven't seen any of this stuff yet, you can check out my Tumblr, HieroJux.tumblr.com. I'll put that up on the screen here. And I've posted all this stuff from Comic-Con. I've posted some play art stuff, just all the stuff that I've seen on the internet so far from Comic-Con that's caught my eye. And there's some play arts Batman figures and a few other play art stuff that's just completely bananas, that they're killing it over there. So look forward to reviews of that stuff if I can afford them. I get the feeling they're going to be pretty expensive. But enough of that. We've got Cammy here. So here's Cammy in her box, and I really like the artwork for Cammy. The sculpt is different, and it kind of takes away the parts of Cammy I like. It's a very cute illustration, and it seems like a lot of these sculpts nowadays go from cute to something else. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but there's a kind of a cute quality that Shunya draws that the sculpts are kind of leaving behind, but that's nothing new, honestly. And here's the box. Here's her description here, if you want to take a look at that. Oops, there we go. And then there's Juri, and that one's going to be good. I like Juri. So, there she is. Let's go ahead and take a look at her. Okay, so Cammy comes with some super remedial instructions. Probably better that they include those than if they don't. She comes with 2 inserts for her base. These are the same as they've been since the Tekken line and with Chun Li. And then the base itself is interesting. It's basically what Chun Li has, but it's a little oval to support her wider stance. And here, I will reiterate the remedial instructions. You put the insert in the base. You put the bottom on. I feel like they could do better than this at this point with these covers for their bases. And I actually have this one in backwards. I am the remedial one. I am the one who is remedial. Alright, so there's that. Biggity bam. And there she is. Kapow. So it seems like she's fits a little snugger on her. I don't know if snugger is a word, but more snugly on her base. Snugly. Than Chun Li does. Chun Li falls off of her base for me at the drop of a hat, so seems like this is a little more sturdy and out of focus. Alright, cool. So, Cammy is quite a Bishoujo figure. And I was trying to think, I know it's stupid, but I think this is the first Bishoujo with a thong or anything resembling that. Which is kind of weird when you think about it, but um, you know, whatever. Anyway, there is, I'm fiddling with stuff over here, so excuse me. Let me just put that aside. All right, so a couple differences in the illustration. I'm gonna see if I can't get the angle. What appears to be the same, something like that. It's just kind of positioning of the limbs. Mostly her head. For me, it's her head. Her head in the sculpt is lower than it is in the illustration. She's kind of just leaning her head a little too far forward to match what the illustration has there. But by and large, pretty accurate, pretty faithful to the illustration. I think it came out pretty well. So let's go ahead and take a look at her here. So she came out pretty good. I like her eyes. Her eyes are done well. They seem to be looking in the same place. Both each eye is looking at the same place as the other eye. She's got a little bit of seems like almost like some red, so maybe some clear red coating her bangs here. They have a little bit different color than the rest of her hair. A little shinier. Looks good. I didn't realize her gauntlets there are so kind of brilliantly red. They're metallic red. They're the type of red that we've seen in other Bishoujo statues with this red. It looks very good. But it really stood out. As soon as I seen her in the package, it was one of the things that I said, oh, I didn't realize how metallic red they were. They're very shiny, good looking. They've got some paint detail inside here in the grooves. And she's got her beret. Beret looks pretty good. It's a beret. They did their job when it came to making the beret. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it's good. The hair sculpt is nice. Her pigtails, I guess, these braids, they go straight up to her head, but they do have some give to them. They're stiff, but they're not too stiff. It doesn't feel like they're going to break on you. They definitely will bend feels like they're just not going to break. So that's nice. She does have her scar on her face, but you can't really see it because it's behind her fist. But they did add that bit of detail. Let me adjust my lighting here a little bit. See if I can get it on camera. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. It's a little hard to see, but I think you can see it maybe. Yeah, it's poking out there. But it comes all the way clear back to her jaw there, you can see. So they included that. That was a little unclear in some of the pics I've seen whether or not she had her scar. The paint work around her, what is this, a leotard I believe it's called? It's pretty nice. The sculpt is great. It kind of really accentuates all her muscles and things. And they shaded it well. It looks good. It's got a nice matte texture to it, and then around the matte texture on the borders, like around her arm, it's glossy, and I don't know if that's consistent all the way through. You know what I think it is now that I'm looking at it? It might just be glue. I think they might have glued this arm on there, and it's but it runs the seam here. It almost looks like glossy paint. Let's see if you can see what I'm talking about. You can kind of see it glisten there, and then it also glistens right here, but not around the rest of her. So that's just glue. So not a big deal, but it's there. She's very muscular, and I don't know, she might be the most muscular of the Bishoujo statues. I'm looking at my collection over here. Like, at least she has like the most tense muscles. Like her shoulders. I remember seeing pics of her shoulders and was surprised like the amount of detail that they put in it. This is sculpted by Bishoujo Max, I believe is how you're supposed to say that. And he put in a lot of detail in her. I get the feeling he probably is a Cammy fan as well as me, because it seems like this was, they paid a good amount of attention to this one. So there's the I don't know, leotard. Trying to excuse my lights over here. She's got painted fingernails, as the Bishoujo statues seem to have nowadays. They all seem to have that amount of details, painted nails. She does have some painted lips. It's pretty subtle. They're pink, and there's kind of some shininess to them. There's a little bit of... I'm going to take her off her base here so I can do this a little better. Here we go. There, that's better. So you can see her there. There's that scar, you can see that a little better too. Looks like she's got a little something on her face just below her ear. I'm not sure what that is. See if I can't get that off. Then her legs, very muscular. She's got really well-defined hip bones. She's got these, tense leg muscles. Looks like they're flexing and doing their thing. And her camo's done pretty well. It's kind of sporadic, and it's not a lot of it, but it's there, so that's good. Her socks do have like a layer to them. It's not just painted on her calf like I thought it might have been. Let's see if I can't get this to focus a little better. There we go. There's no texture on the sock itself. It's just a matte red. And then her boots. And the boots look good. They're laced all the way down. That's pretty impressive, sculpt-wise. Looks good. And then she's got the hollow openings on the bottoms of her feet for the base. And she will stand on her own without the base, but she wants to fall forward a little bit. I think if... I'm not sure how level this table is, but I put her on her box, and she stood up, but maybe too much forward weight for her to stand on her own. But we'll push her down into the base. She's a good one. I dig her a lot. All the paintwork is good. You've got nice, different styles of paint. You've got kind of the shiny red gauntlets. The matte on her suit here looks a little different than the matte on her beret. The beret's actually got some kind of slightly metallic red in it. Kind of shimmers a little bit. Didn't expect that. This kind of stuff doesn't usually pick up too well on camera, but you can kind of see it there. So that's interesting. Did not realize that was a thing. Now the kind of the sight line for her is just below, I think, right about here. I think that's probably where she looks the best. I think that's ideally where you're supposed to be positioned around her, but from straight on, I don't know. I think her head's just leaning a little too far forward, because if you look at the illustration here, I don't really get that. So that's about that, I guess. I mean, in the illustration, you can see the front of her suit. By the time you see the front of it here, these hip bones really kind of are much more accentuated here than in the illustration. The illustration, she's doesn't have the detail in her muscles. She's not as tense. So they really put in a lot more detail just in, the tone of her body than in the illustration. So let's do some comparisons. So here she is with Chun Li, of course. Now, I guess there's kind of a dynamic thing here where they can kind of be fighting. She's blocking a kick or something like that. And that's cool. I like that. They do look good together. And I'm starting to think that the Street Fighter line, all told, is probably going to be the best stuff that Koto has done. I really like the Marvel and DC stuff. The Tekken stuff is a little undersized. Here's an example. Here's Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu is significantly smaller than the other two. So I think as they go, the Street Fighter stuff, I don't know, I feel like the Street Fighter stuff is the ones I had my fingers crossed for. After they get a Marvel license, they start making those, my mind starts to think about, okay, well, what else could they do? And Street Fighter is like very high on the list for me. So I'm stoked just that they're doing Street Fighter, and so far the first two that they've done seem to be in my opinion, some of the best work they've done. Just all the detail put into them. Seems like they really want to make these things right, and they should. So, anyway, there's Cammy, and I dig her a lot. Now, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about Cammy. When she came out and was announced, I was excited, and they've kind of delivered on what the illustration, even though there are some differences. All in all, she came out great. If it were up to me, I'd say I'd have her head lean back a little bit and maybe not so tense with the muscles. That's not particularly attractive to me, but to each his own. But yeah, I mean, you can see how muscular she is. It is nice that they've done that. When I think about like the muscular females, that all of the characters they've done, Cammy's not the one that really stands out to me as like the most muscular, but she definitely is. She's pretty much ripped compared to the other statues. I mean, so Chun Li's got some huge legs, right? And she's supposed to. That's very characteristic of Chun Li. You can compare her to Zhao Yu, and Zhao Yu, I guess, this is not a tense pose for her, but you can see just, I don't know, you look at her legs and her hips and all that, she has a little bit of muscle definition here and there, but it's nothing like this. Like, Cammy's just ripped, so it's cool. I like it. I'm not sure why Cammy, but very happy with this. I can't wait for Jury. Jury looks awesome. Not sure really how I'm going to pose these, if they're actually going to be kind of like this. That looks pretty good. I like that. And this could be just a coincidence, but there are no other two Bishoujos that really interact with each other. I mean, even ones that are typically paired up together. Catwoman and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Those are all made, probably years apart from each other, but none of them really seem to even... There's no interaction between the two of them at all. At least there's something here along that line. I mean, you don't have to do it clearly, but I do like that they look like they could be fighting each other. It's pretty cool. So I definitely recommend Cammy. Cammy's probably, I don't know, probably one of my top 5 of all these Bishoujo statues. Which reminds me, I should probably make a top 10 list video. If that sounds interesting to anybody watching, if you want to see me do a top 10 of Bishoujo, something like that, I'm looking to probably do something a little different than just reviews. But I got to be honest, I'm still playing Final Fantasy XIV, and I've put a lot of time into that. I've actually pulled myself away to do this review. So anyway, I do like to I would like to try to keep it fresh. And if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're watching this video and you've seen all my other videos, go ahead and subscribe. Coming up pretty soon here with all these Bishoujo statues released, I'm going to have a lot more content for you to see. I'm also thinking about doing, I don't know, maybe a giveaway or two. I'm going to have this blue suit Psylocke. Maybe, depending on how she goes, I may not want the black one. I don't know. I mean, certainly with Spider-Woman, this metallic Spider-Woman, I'm guessing I'm probably not going to keep both. So I've got 2 Commander Shepherds. So thinking about maybe doing something along those lines. But if anybody gets any kind of giveaways, it'll definitely have to be a subscriber. There's no two ways about that. So subscribe, and look forward to hopefully some, I don't know, maybe some freebies or something. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Check me out on Tumblr, and check out my other videos. I've got a whole bunch of Bishoujo stuff. There's still a few holes in my Bishoujo collection. I don't know that are ever going to get filled. They just get so expensive in the aftermarket. But as they keep releasing them, I'm thinking that maybe interest in the older ones will start to fade and they'll become more affordable. That's my hope. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Thanks for watching. Check me out in the future. A lot of good stuff coming up. So see you then.